Wales, Africa and the World, the podcast from Hub Cymru Africa, championing global solidarity and the connections between Wales, Africa and beyond. My name is Peter Gilby, and in today's episode, I'm pleased to be joined by Dr Ahmed Alshantti. Dr Alshantti currently works as a doctor in the NHS. Originally from Gaza, where he completed his medical training, Dr Alshantti travelled to the UK, where he completed a Masters in Public Health. Today, we'll be talking about the current situation in Gaza, the unfolding public health crisis, and the associated challenges facing the region. And later on, we'll be doing a bit of current affairs commentary and finding out what's been going on in Africa this week. Good morning, Bore da, Dr Alshantti. Thanks for being here. So let's kick off with your journey to Wales. Tell us about your background in Gaza and your path to becoming a doctor and eventually what brought you to Wales.
Bore da, Peter. It's good to be here. My journey started in Gaza. My ultimate aim was always to go outside and to learn and to get training and then give something back to my home country, Palestine. I finished my medical training to become a doctor in 2016. Life in Gaza was at that time really hard. There was a restriction on movements, so patients who needed necessary treatment cannot go outside to have a treatment. Doctors who would like to get a training are unable to travel abroad. So it was practically the healthcare system was under siege. But this made me more determined to find a way to go outside and get the necessary knowledge and skills back in my home country. So luckily I was awarded the Byd-eang scholarship, which is sponsored by the British government, to study Master of Public Health in Sheffield University. And even so, one of the interesting things, Peter, that the Israeli did not allow me to go outside to continue my education. And the British government has to lobby the Israeli authorities to allow me with a couple of few students to go outside. But that moment, it changed my life. I joined histopathology. I work as a histopathology trainee, which is basically working in diagnostics in cancer in the University Hospital of Wales. And every day when I see how important is training and functioning healthcare system, and I always think how much this is deeply missing back in Gaza.
You've touched on it there about this current situation in Gaza. Today, the United Nations Secretary General has warned Israel again of their current renewed offensive to occupy more of Gaza. Even before this current conflict broke out, you said they were already blockading young students from developing and leaving to pursue training. From your experiences, perspectives, connections, what is happening right now on the ground for health workers and patients in Gaza?
The healthcare catastrophe right now is terrifying. And this is what you witness in Gaza basically when the healthcare system collapses. You will see all the healthcare indicators are worsening in all aspects of life, especially public health indicators. To touch on the point how it feels to the patients, it is very difficult to describe what is happening. So, for example, I can talk with you about maternal health, how the situation, like maternal health right now in Gaza, maternal mortality, to be precise, has more than doubled. Before the war, there was like 100,000 live births. Now, it is even 50. It is more than doubled, according to the UNICEF report a few days ago. Just they released it. The thing is, early in the war, situation was difficult, and we said that, it will not get worse. But surprisingly, it got worse and worse and worse. For example, ladies who were forced to have cesarean section without epidural, and there is many reported cases of this. And going along the war, situation become really difficult. So you see many pregnancy got lost because there was no follow-up, there was no simple medications. And this is not just an abstract to me, it's my sister. She was 12 weeks pregnant last year. In the middle of the starvation, she was going in the streets for days without any proper meal, and she miscarried because of malnutrition. And currently she is pregnant again, 20 weeks pregnant, and the starvation hit again. And now the doctors told her that she needs a blood thinners to prevent clots in the lungs and stuff. And she's phoning me and she's telling me that she's looking everywhere. Finding a one injection is a mission impossible. And if you find one, it will cost more than any family can afford. And imagine without this injection, she might lose her life or her baby. And there is many aspects that I can tell you about on and on about the situation, but it is beyond comprehension. And maybe we talked about maternal mortality and issues. There is childhood problems. There is people with the chronic diseases. So many aspects in healthcare system is suffering right now in Gaza.
Having said that and, shared your experience, what kind of pressures are the health workers in Gaza under? What are the challenges they are facing?
If you go to the statistics again, there is about 1,400 healthcare professionals until now have been killed in Gaza. And this is just a number of the people who have been killed. There is so many hundreds. I know personally many doctors and nurses are in detention without any trials or anything. So the healthcare system has been crippled to its knees because of this loss in the workforce. Yesterday I had a phone call with my friend. He's a GB in the United Nations primary care in north of Gaza, and he described to me that nightmare or the worst dream any doctors in the world can dream of, which is standing helpless to help your patients. He told me how his work is spent mostly on apologizing to people, of not able to providing them with even simple medications. He just felt really desperate that how much he needed to treat and help his patients, but he's unable to because the resources are absent, and if there's very limited, and even simple medications to give to his patients is nearly to zero. So he told me about when he come back to his home. He told me he have to run to look for food for his children, which is nearly non-existent in Gaza. It's not there. And he told me about how simple stuff turned to a really difficult and complicated tasks. For example, if he would like to cook for his children, he have to bring some firewood from everywhere, plastic materials, and light a fire to cook for his children. How if he want to drink water, how he have to go miles away to bring drinkable water to his children. So it's not really just only the work, it's as well the personal life. They are suffering in all aspects, and yet they are resilient and trying to do their best to help their patients and their community.
So we've heard that the conditions for healthcare workers on the ground in Gaza is quite harrowing. Do you have any personal perspectives of what's happening there?
Israel has the policy of targeting healthcare professionals and targeting hospitals and clinics in Gaza. By doing so, they're crippling one of the most vital services in Gaza. And I have a sad experience of this during the war. 6 months ago, we woke up on the news that my sister Iman, along with her husband Helmi and her two sweet boys Bilal and Omar and her daughter Alma, have all been killed after bombing their house by an Israeli airstrike. It was a shock to all of us. My sister Iman was a healthcare professional. She worked as a physiotherapist in one of the clinics, and she is a humanitarian aid worker. She spent most of the war helping the communities in north of Gaza. And as a result, Israeli targeted her and killed her along with her family. And you can see, Peter, how this trend is repeating itself in all aspects of life in Gaza. Anyone who is providing humanitarian services in Gaza is being deliberately targeted. You've got the 5 humanitarian aid from the World Central Kitchen have been killed, and there's many others. About at least 300 humanitarian aid workers have been killed, and my sister was one of them. And the story is not really about the loss of my sister and her family. After they bombed the house, one of her daughters, the only surviving child, have been bombed out from her house and fallen in the roof of the neighbor's house. And she survived with a lot of scars and burns that she's still struggling with until now. She's 13 years old. What is her fault? What is her fault of what has happened on 7th of October? So she's left alone, along with her burns and injuries, to suffer in this world. There is no one to cry with. There's no one to play with. Just the memories and the silence of her families last time they were bombed. And you can see the pattern of the only surviving child. There is about 17,000 example of this. People who have lost all their family and they survived. And they pulled out of the rubble, literally. So there is an organization, it's called SOS Orphan Village. So basically these NGOs have built a massive camp where they host about 5,000 orphans and what is left of their families in tents. And they have like a mini school, they have a kitchen, they have even a clinic. And their vision is to provide hope, security, and love for those children. And I encourage people to support them. They are doing great work. My sister is working with them in the mental health clinic. And they are doing a really important and vital service to this group of people. And I encourage people to support them, really.
You're here in Wales. What's your role? What are you doing? What's your work involved in supporting your family, friends and colleagues and fellow countrymen back home in Gaza?
That's a very good question, Peter. Things we can do from here to help the people in Gaza. First place, it is very difficult to me personally as a Gazan who is having his family in Gaza. The feeling of helplessness while your family is starving is difficult, Peter. It's beyond comprehension. People in Gaza, they keep pushing us to be hopeful that there will be a brighter future. And Gaza is not a headline to me, it's a reality, a family reality on a daily basis. Currently in Cardiff, we've been working with the Cardiff Medical School to help the healthcare professionals in Gaza. So there is an agreement now to bring 2 displaced medical students from Gaza to continue the much needed clinical education here in Cardiff. And as of yesterday, it's a good news that there's a memorandum of understanding have been signed by the Cardiff Medical School and Al Azhar Medical School, which is a local medical school in Gaza, not only to bring those 2 displaced medical students, but to train staff there as well and to rebuild capacity there. Because as I have said before, we have lost so many doctors and nurses, and we need this medical school to keep running because we need doctors. And this is what we're aiming for in this agreement. And hopefully the British government will grant visas, because this is another as well a problem we face given the political atmosphere toward the Palestinian cause and the Gaza suffering. We hope that British government and the Home Office allow these 2 students to come in to continue the much needed education. I as well work with many local groups in different areas, not healthcare. We keep the only surviving school in North Gaza running. In the last 2 years, there is about 500,000 of students have not really, they stopped learning, they stopped going to the school because 95% of schools in Gaza and classrooms turned to ruins or even to shelters. So with the support of the local families here in Cardiff, we are fundraising since the start of the war to support this school. It's called Al Tamayuz School in north of Gaza to keep it running. And it is a success story. We host right now about 1,300 students in there. Look, Peter, it is the children there are the most targeted group in the society there. You've got about 20,000 children have been killed. You've got 100,000 have been injured. You've got about 28,000 who are orphans. You've got about 7,000 who have lost their one of or both of their legs. So it's important to provide them with means to give them hope, because those are the future generation that we will rebuild Gaza. So the school providing a shelter for them, a refuge from the war to give them hope. And there is many inspiring stories there. I've known a guy who was 13 years old. He have lost all his family. He come walking to the school 3 kilometers a day just to sit in a classrooms. So with the support of the people in Cardiff, we're doing fundraising to keep this school running. And we managed to do some expansion in the last few weeks to accommodate more students. And one of these 2 simple projects, I'm putting my energy on to make them really work, despite the starvation and the bombardment in Gaza.
That project in Cardiff supporting the last school in northern Gaza, what's that called? If people wanted to learn more about it, get involved or support it somehow?
There is 2 groups right now we're working with. The first group, they have like a local family groups. They have an Instagram page. It's called a Parent Teachers for Palestine. And there is another group which is called a Bismillah Baby. The Bismillah Baby are doing right now a fundraising walk in Cardiff Bay on the 7th of September. And I invite people all to come to Cardiff Bay. The walk will start at 12:30. You can sponsor us to fundraise to this school. Every pound you pay, you help a child in Gaza continue their education. Each student, we calculated it, cost about £10 a month. And in Gaza, the students don't continue for a full year, given the situations. We have 3 months. They study the 4 basic subjects like math, science, language, and it lasts for about 3 to 4 months. To sponsor a student to finish their year, you just can pay £40, and that's it. People can contact me. I have an Instagram page, is Ahmed Alshantti, and they can look at me on Instagram, and they can look for the other local groups as well and see how we can help.
I know that next month you're going to be speaking to the Global Health Partnerships Cymru conference hosted by Hub Cymru Africa. Can you give a little preview about what you'll be bringing there? What can people expect from you?
The conference will be a great opportunity for me to speak on behalf of people in Gaza. I will speak about the public health crisis in Gaza, including many personal stories and how people can engage in helping and supporting the people in Gaza on a personal level, and if they would like to support as well the organizations that are doing great initiatives there to help the people in Gaza. So it will be an opportunity for the people to know how they can help.
I think for a lot of people in the West and in Wales, the statistics and the headlines coming out of Gaza daily can sometimes hide the personal stories and the tragedies that are happening there. What is it you want to bring to the conference that can help people here see past the statistics and the headlines and see what's really going on?
Gaza is not just a headline or statistics. Behind every number you see in the news, there is a story, a family, a daily reality that having this experience, this horrific experience of the war. And my role as a Gazan and a doctor here working in Cardiff is to be a voice for this struggle and suffering. So I will bring as much as I can and talk about the public health crisis in Gaza and bring the personal dimension of the healthcare providers and who are struggling there, and the families as well who are facing this reality on a daily basis. And I will as well show some of the great initiatives that is being done right now in Gaza to help the people there.
And so, final question now. If you could send one message back home to your friends and colleagues and family in Gaza, what would it be?
What is happening in Gaza is the worst catastrophe in modern history. What we see is not enough. Words is not enough. Actions is what is needed now by the government of the Western world and the allies of Israel. We need the borders to open. We need to bring food to our children in Gaza. We need the war to stop the killing of our loved ones in Gaza. And to do this, we have to keep pressuring our politicians. And for people in Gaza, what they need right now is means to support their resilience. And like what we have talked about, the school, it is something that can enhance their resilience to stay back in their home country. And to support that, we have to do something better, which is connection. And I mean by connection is, for example, if you would like to support Gaza, most people donate to the organizations and stuff, which is really good. Some people go to Gaza, which is really heroic. I've got the Professor Tom Potka, who is going to speak with me in the conference. He went to Gaza about 18 times. This man is brave. Despite being exposed to so many times of incidents that can lead to loss of his life, but yet he's going again and again. But for me, there is one more important thing, which is connection. And I mean by connection, Peter, is speak with Palestinians. It's not enough just to watch passively the news. You have to speak with Palestinians. You can ask if your friends, if they know anyone who is living locally in Gaza, and speak with them. Like, for example, I have heard that there is a farmer in Scotland have connected with a farmer in Gaza, and they've been thinking and exchanging experience of creative ways how to find solutions for the challenging problems in the farming industry in Gaza. Teachers here in Wales can connect with teachers in Gaza. Doctors can connect with doctors. This is already has happened, but we need it in all aspects of life. Because the Palestinian doesn't need just only money. They need solidarity. They need their voice to be heard. They need to be understood that they are not alone in this world. They need hope for a brighter future. And this is extremely important to do at this time, to support the people, to hold their hands. We are with you. You are not alone. We are in the same boat.
Dr Alshantti, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much for joining. You'll be able to hear more from Dr Alshantti on the 8th of September at the Global Health Partnerships Cymru conference. Head to the events page on the Hub Cymru Africa website to book your free place. Thank you very much, Dr Alshantti.
Thank you, Peter.
Welcome back to Wales, Africa and the World. I'm pleased to welcome back Ore Ojelade, Diaspora and Inclusion Officer at Hub Cymru Africa, for our regular segment of Africa This Week, where we'll have a little bit of a chat on what's going on in Africa. Ore, what have you got for us?
Good morning, everyone. And today we have some update on what's happening in Kenya from the last time we spoke. So we could see that the Kenya officials have somewhat decided to take some form of ownership, but the way they've gone about it, it shows they're not ready to be accountable.
So what's what's happened then?
So the only thing they've done is to make the general of police resign and made the investigation. And some of the police officers have been charged, particularly in the case of the blogger Albert Ojwang, which was one of the most important cases because more people were aware of him. And now the government is thinking of giving some form of reparations from people who have been protesting and been harmed since the year 2017. And we wonder how they're going to track that. This is 2025.
Well, that's kind of positive, isn't it? Considering how, we often see protests going, the fact that there has been some repercussions for particularly the leadership. What more should happen, though, do you think?
I think an apology should have been given.
By who, sorry?
By the government officials.
Right, yeah.
The president should have given some form of apology. The police should have stood their ground that this is what happened and taken some form of accountability and not wait till other people come back on the street. Yeah. And how do you expect to track incidents of protests that happened in 2017 when you're not ready to face the music by them? Yeah. And what form of reparations are you trying to give since 2017 to 2025?
And it's almost as if they're trying to find a scapegoat. The people that really need to apologize or that really have to reconcile, then they're not accepting responsibility. It's just maybe a handful of individuals, and then they're hoping the story will blow over.
Exactly what came to mind as well. Because it seems like the president knows obviously he's not ready to take full accountability of it. So the next players in the game is the police officers. Yeah. So just make them resign after a while. When everything seems to be calm, they go back again into their police of their positions. And we've seen that happen in similar cases like the NSAS we were trying to compare with the last time. Yeah. So they resign for about 2 months. Yeah. The case dwindles down and they go back to their position. So there's no full accountability taken. The people who have lost their lives have lost their lives. Some people haven't found their partners' bodies. So there's no form of accountability taken. You just say, sorry, we'll give you some form of payment back. Yeah. Is money going to make up for the loss of lives that has been lost over the couple of years?
And fundamentally, what's changed about the system, about the country, that people were originally protesting about? It's almost as if the focus has moved from depoliticizing the police, from the constitution or the role of the president, to sort of only looking at these individual members of the police and their victims. Things haven't actually changed.
I don't think anything has changed because if you look at the history of this protest, it has happened since 2007, trying to have some form of depoliticalization of the police. Now we move to 2025, the same issue they've been chasing to 2007 is happening. So there's no form of accountability, there's no change. No. The only thing that seems to change is now they feel like they have to respond because international media outlets are on their case. So they give a brief response, try and target it and shut up about it. So I don't think anything is changing since no one is taking accountability, no one is speaking out, and they're just dismissing the level of impact the actions of the police have caused.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that as it continues. What else has been happening, Ore?
So in Nigeria now, if you want to go to the US for maybe Disneyland during the summer holidays, for you to get your visa, you have to show them your social media profile for at least 5 years.
Sorry, your social media profile?
Yes.
So not like your bank account?
Or not anymore. You need to show what you've been tweeting about, what you've been posting on Instagram, what you've been sharing on Facebook to show that, you're a good Trumpite or whatever they call themselves. So you can get into the United States.
That is incredible. Shocking, actually, isn't it?
I would say it's really invading
intimidating.
Yeah, because it's invading their privacy.
I think there's a real risk when you talk about Trump and his politics, and to think that it's just a comedy show, that it's just ridiculous. There's just this charismatic man who's saying really crazy things. Isn't he funny? There's a real intimidating, toxic vibe from particularly that new policy measure, bearing in mind that it's not easy for Africans or Nigerians to travel to America. I'm sure there are many hoops to jump through, and this is just a new quite nasty hoop.
I think Nigerians react to things with humor. So if you go on like most Nigerian social media platforms, they're like, oh, God bless America, God bless Trump. But the reality of it is that a lot of people who have opinions to say or genuine opinions about it have already been denied their visas 1 or 2 or 3, more than 3 times.
Right.
Because they already have to prove their financial statement.
Yeah.
They have to show that they have ties back home. Now imposing a social media background check makes no sense. Because even Trump himself, he has said some vile things and he's a leader. So why are you making it so hard for people who just want to see the other side of the world to come and enjoy themselves? Because if you look at the social media platforms, other people are just retweeting their opinions. I heard of a story of someone who had a meme of Vance, the deputy president, on his phone.
Yeah.
And he was sent back. So I think looking at it, it just shows more about how capitalist we are as a society, or what Trump is trying to push. Because more the 1% of the 1% probably don't need to get a visa.
No.
So are you saying that America is just for a specific set of people, a specific class of people?
Yeah.
And to make matters worse now, people who are in diaspora in America are they now have to pay a percentage of tax to the money they send back home to their families.
That is shocking and quite impactful, because I think it's right that the remittance that Africans in America send back home totals much more than what USAID was spending. Talk about kicking someone when they're down already. There are these Africans that are contributing to the American economy, choosing how to spend their own money themselves, and Trump's going after them even more. What sort of effect would that have?
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to just mention how intelligent he felt he was when he named the bill the Beautiful Bill. Because looking at it, it's not a bright idea. I'm from Nigeria, and even just getting the money to send back home was a hustle for other people to get it. So not taxing them 1%. So for instance, I'm going to use pounds. So if I'm meant to send £250 to my family, I'm going to be charged £50. So I have to send an extra 300. So imagine my parents receiving the £250. Now they have to be taxed again, reducing that to 200. And most people who have this opportunity to live in the diaspora, make names for themselves, often know that they have family members relying on them for their education bills, their internet bills, medical bills. Now shorten the cost of what initial intentions were, does it make sense?
Yeah.
And causes a lot of burden, because in the economy of Nigeria isn't that great. No, everywhere is struggling right now. But the exchange rate of dollar to pounds to naira is quite favorable. But taxing them above measures, I think people will run away from that and look for drastic means to get the money across board.
People are going to find ways around it. People may decide to just not come to the US. People may decide to use more illicit or secretive means to sending money abroad. If it's about making money, this is going to be negligible amounts of money they're going to make, but the effect will be quite profound. And you did touch on it actually a bit. That piece of legislation was a great piece of socialism for the rich, but a great piece of punitive measures for the poor.
If you look at Trump's agenda, he really doesn't care about certain classes of people, certain races of people.
Yeah.
I think he's more or less trying to discourage them from staying, because looking at the bill, reading it, it shows that people who are not official citizens yet. So if you're a green card holder, you don't have the blue passport yet, you're taxed to the bill. So it's going to be discouraging for other people to continue to take work in America. But I think he's not looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Most of these immigrants make a huge percentage, or even are more entitled to work than you ever think in the hospitals or wherever. So if you discourage them from doing the little job or out of their big salary and tax them, you're losing a huge amount of your workforce.
Yeah. So, Ore, what good has been happening? There must be something.
So the Super Falcons, who were engaging in the Women African Cup of Nations, finally won their 10th trophy, despite the government being terrible.
Sorry, and where is that team from?
Nigeria.
Oh, Nigeria, of course, yeah.
I have to be biased with
Yeah.
that. So we won.
Well done to them.
oh, thank you.
So is that a national team? Or
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a national team, and the win is really impactful because during the tournament, the loopholes of Nigerian government were evident in that, because some of the kits were not provided, the shingas were not provided,
Really?
so the girls had to improvise and make by themselves. And seeing them win is like a good testament.
Well done, them. Really good news. Thank you very much, Ori.
Thank you.
And that's it from Wales, Africa and the world. Thank you very much for listening. And if you want to hear more from Dr Alshantti, please register for the Global Health Partnerships Cymru conference happening on the 8th of September in central Cardiff. You can do that via our website. Diolch yn fawr iawn.